Ready? Good evening. My name is Kathleen Brown, Chair of the Virginia Beach School Board, and I call this formal meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please announce the roll?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Present in the school board chamber are Chair Brown, Vice Chair Weems, Mr. Callen, Mr. Cummings, Ms. Dwyer, Ms. Felton, Dr. Green, and Ms. Rogers. And currently attending via Zoom is Mr. Culpepper. And Mr. Culpepper, for the record, can you explain why you're attending via Zoom?
For medical reasons, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance as you are able. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, there are no awards and recognitions this evening, and so we are now on to the adoption of the agenda. Are there any modifications to the agenda as presented?
Madam Chair, I do note that action item 15B, amended FY 2026-27 budget resolution. It's supposed to be resolutions. There's two resolutions. Just make sure that's clarified.
Okay. All right.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Item D.
The ad hoc committee.
Yeah, I would move to action.
Item D is also contained on the consent agenda under C. So if somebody wants to move it at that time, they may do so. Okay. All right. So with that, the motion is made by Mr. Cummings, seconded by Dr. Green. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I call for the vote to approve the agenda as presented.
Mr. Culpepper, how do you vote on the adoption of the agenda?
Vote aye.
Thank you. So, Madam Chair, we have 9 ayes. The motion did pass for the adoption of the agenda.
Thank you. We are now on to the superintendent's report and recognitions. Dr. Robertson, do you have any recognitions this evening?
I have a few recognitions this evening. 'Tis the season. We'll start with Pierre Dizon. And we are proud that you've accepted our recommendation for Pierre, formerly an administrative assistant at Point of View Elementary School, to be the next assistant principal at Hermitage Elementary School. Congratulations. And I see you have some guests.
I would like to welcome my sister Ruby and her husband, my cousin Dwayne Smith, my other sister Yasmin, and her husband, my cousin Richard Johnson, my parents, Elma and Manuel Sanchez, and last but definitely not least, my one and only wife, Marielle Dizon.
All right, congratulations. One and only Pierre. I noticed how you made sure of that. Next up, we have Barbara Griffin, formerly an admin assistant at Newtown Elementary School. And we're pleased you've accepted our recommendation for her to be the next assistant principal at C-Tech Elementary School and Achievable Dream Academy. Now, see, you have some guests.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Superintendent, and thank you, Board. I have someone here, I'm not sure who this is, but I think she snuck in. No, this is my daughter, Tamara. She's so amazing. She's a great daughter. Here I have Miss Rogerson. She was the reading specialist with me when I was at Lynn Haven, my right hand. And over here I have Miss Marvella Phillips. And Miss Rogerson is retired now. And Miss Marvella Phillips, she's a business ed teacher at the Tech Center. We've been friends for over 30 years and played tennis together when she was little. And then I have Dr. Winley. She is the assistant principal at Rosemont Forest Elementary. Long-term friend. She's still learning to play tennis after 6 years. She just can't get it. And then I have Dr. Wiggins, such an inspiration as a leader. She was the backbone of me moving into this role, and I'm just so thankful to have worked under her. She's amazing. And then I have Miss Newsom, long-term friend from Holland, worked together. She was a math specialist, and now she is the principal at Centerville Elementary. And I have in the back, not least, my new sidekick, right hand, we're together, Ms. Bone. And she has her beautiful daughters, Lucy and Zoe. And I am so excited about this year working together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we've got Dr. Ursula Hill, formerly a principal at Samuel P. Morton Elementary School in Franklin City. And we're pleased you've accepted our recommendation for her to be the next assistant principal at Luxford Elementary School.
Good evening, and thank you so very much.
Yes.
With me, I have a dear friend, Dr. Yvonne Holloman, her husband, Dr. Ronald Holloman, my dear mother, Mrs. Joan Atkins, my god sister, Mrs. Loretta Williams, and my ride-or-die new principal, Mr. Dobb. Thank you all so much for coming.
Congratulations. There's some heavy hitters in the audience today. Good gracious. Next up, we have Catherine Fessel, formerly administrative assistant at Plaza Middle School. We're pleased you've accepted our recommendation for her to be the next assistant principal at Lynn Haven Middle School.
Thank you so much. I am very honored to have Dr. Makovic, my principal. We are in this together. I also have my parents, Ken and Nikki, my kids, Maddie and Connor, and my mother-in-law, Barb. And then, unfortunately, my husband could not get off his case early enough. So my husband, Brandon Fessel, is just celebrating with us in spirit.
Congratulations. Next up, we have Sheena Smith, currently an assistant principal at College Park Elementary School, and we're pleased you've accepted our recommendation for her to be the next assistant principal at Old Donation School. Make sure you tell your husband VB rules.
Thank you, thank
Says
you.
he's AP and chess P.
He's coming back.
Good.
He's coming back. I have with me my beautiful girls, Sadie, who goes to school here in Virginia Beach, and Jane, who will be next year. She's not quite ready for school yet. And I have my principal that I'm so excited to be working with, Mr. Goldenshoe, and then my husband, Thomas Smith, who I just found out that his artwork is in the back there from when he was in high school at Ocean Lakes High School.
That's
And it's
awesome.
still here, so that's amazing.
Congratulations. Next up, we have Adrian Bracy, formerly an admin assistant at First Colonial High School. We're pleased you've accepted our recommendation for her to be next assistant principal at Renaissance Academy.
Thank you very much. I, too, have my one and only here, Mr. Sensational, Sean Bracy. And thank y'all so very much. I greatly appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Kimberly Nurse, formerly an admin assistant from Bayside High School and also a citywide teacher of the year, who's, we're proud, is now the assistant principal at Tallwood High School.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. all the way from Brooklyn. I have some of my family. I have my mama, my fabulous mother, my fabulous cousin Donna, my daughter who lives here, Danielle. She's also fabulous. My fabulous grandbaby over here begging for candy. My fabulous son-in-law Josiah. My fabulous brother who drove from Brooklyn down here, Kevin. My fabulous family from my other mother, Shane and Caitlin over there as well. And of course, my fabulous principal. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And then last but not least, returning to us after a 1-year hiatus, I don't even think it was a year, Dr. Lauren Cave, formerly an interim human resources specialist. Oh, you know what? I went out of order, didn't I? Okay, hold on. All right, I'm still getting used to this. Okay. Hey, Caitlin Riley. Formerly assistant principal at Bayside High School, who's now the new principal at First Colonial High School. Welcome, Caitlin.
Thank you so much. I am actually a newlywed. I am joined by my husband, Shane Nisley. Thank you so much.
Yeah, congratulations. And then finally, back to Dr. Lauren Cave, who is back in human resources as specialist, and we're excited that you're here.
I am happy to be back, and I have my wonderful family, lots of them with me tonight. I have my husband, Robert Cave, and he was a Cox High School graduate. I have my daughter, Jamie Adamoff. She's newly married, and she is a Kempsville High graduate. I have my best friend from college, ODU. We did many nights there together. She is my bestie forever, and this is Teresa Brannick. And my wonderful cousin, Cheryl Rocht, and she is also a Cox High School graduate. And glad to have you. And then my brother and his wife are in the back. Bill went to Kempsville High with me, and his wife, Jean, and they are both Hokies because they met at Virginia Tech.
Yes.
All right.
So offer a big congratulations to all of you on your new journey. It speaks volumes to the number of people and that are in leadership roles that have come to support you today. And it makes us feel good because we know you have a network to support you on those days when you're not working. First year is a whirlwind, but you'll get them back, promise you. Congratulations, have a great evening.
Okay, we are now on to the approval of meeting minutes for July 14th through 15th, School Board Retreat Abridged School Board meeting minutes. Are there any modifications to the minutes as presented? Seeing none, I call for the motion to approve the July 14th and 15th minutes as presented. Moved by Mr. Cummings, seconded by Ms. Dwyer. Any discussion? Seeing none, I call for the vote on the July 14th and 15th meeting minutes.
And Mr. Culpepper, how do you vote on the approval of the minutes?
I vote aye, thank you.
And Mr. Cummings, how do you vote? Thank you. Madam Chair, we have 8 ayes and 1 abstention, so the motion did pass for the approval of the minutes from July 14th through 15th, 2026.
Thank you. We're now on to the public comment section of our school board meeting for matters relevant to pre-K through 12 public education in Virginia Beach and the business of the school board and school division, from citizens and delegations who signed up with the school board clerk prior to noon today. The purpose for the public comment section is for the school board to offer an orderly forum to receive public comments during the school board meeting. I call upon all speakers and all persons in chambers to be civil in discussion and decorum. Whatever views you wish to express, the school board wants to hear from you and to ensure that all viewpoints and perspectives are heard. The best way to do this is for all of us to strive for civility and respect. Madam Clerk, would you please introduce the first speaker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our first speaker this evening is Alan Wakefield.
Hello, everyone. Before our trip earlier this summer, Mr. Wakefield led us in reading and researching about the Library of Alexandria, about 6000 BC to 100 AD on the Nile River. When ships came into the port of Alexandria, scrolls would be borrowed from the owners, copied, and the originals returned to the ship owners. Scientists, philosophers, writers from every nation of the known world were represented. Over 700,000 scrolls were used for research. Mr. Wakefield asked Science Cat from a previous endeavor if she would like to make the trip to guide us. Science Cat got up and stretched, put a compass around her collar, and asked if we had enough food. Tuna, of course. We arrived in the desert quickly. The ground collapsed and we slid into a dark tunnel beneath a broken sundial, which Eratosthenes had used to calculate the Earth's circumference mathematically. In the tunnel, 3 doors stood under the warning, only those who understand shadows will pass safely. I had watched too many Indiana Jones movies to believe that. The Science Cat's tail was shaking in fear, but she was so brave it all followed her toward the noon door where there was no shadow from the sun. The tunnel shook, sand poured in, and we worked to find a way through a hidden stairway. Science Cat used her compass to guide us home. What can you do that costs you nothing, increases memory and knowledge, and is so captivating? I think we all know it is not a cell phone, but a book. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Heather Sipe.
Good evening, Chair Brown, Vice Chair Weems, members of the school board, Dr. Robertson. I love how we were talking earlier about retention of staff, the things that we can do to support our staff. Calendar is one of those things. As part of calendar is our staff days and our calendar. As the in-service week schedules started dropping to all of our staff for this year's in-service week, we started getting a flood of, oh my goodness, what is going on? Yes, those 2 to 3 hours of PD on every staff day are a very real thing. But that's not all. There's also the mandatory meetings, the staff meetings, the PLC meetings, the department meetings, if you're an ILT, if you're a coach, if you're this or if you're that. Mandatory during in-service week. Looking at the staff schedules that I've received from probably almost every school in this division, some of our staff have anywhere from 0 minutes of unencumbered time to maybe an hour of unencumbered time each day during their in-service week. This is to get their classrooms set back up from the summer. This is to plan their expectations, prepare for open houses, which are during in-service week for many of them, to prep, to get their class lists, and there is no time. Many of our staff are in schools already this week because there is no time next week and they feel that they have no choice but to show up early and put this work in. One of our staff members who's sitting here today told me she spent 6 hours today in her classroom with the assistance of her mother and her teenage daughter, and finally feels like she has her classroom set up. And she had to do it this week because there is no time in her schedule during in-service week to get these things done. As you move forward, unencumbered time on staff days is essential. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mike Mitchell.
Hey y'all. Since I see that there's two school board members are missing, I'm probably not really going to speak on what I need to speak. So I'm going to resume. Should be about September, like after school starts. But when I do resume back here, I'm going to talk about the graduation, the disrespect and the threat from a police officer and some people who work for the school board and somebody who was the director at the Virginia Beach Convention Center. Then I want to talk about me as an uncle with these kids in school with the sports, and they're looking for their favorite uncle to be there for the games. And we got the regionals and the state finals during graduations. And then there's some other stuff that I have seen with the public schools. And there's a lot that's going on, and I know there's a lot that's going on with this election. So I'm gonna be making some stops in here to meet with y'all throughout the year, and I'm gonna work with y'all so that we can make things a lot better. And we are going to make things a lot better because I'm here. And so I'm going to resume back in here in September. And the young lady, Regina, is going to make sure that I'm here. And thank y'all very much, and I love y'all very much. Especially Nicole Livas, and tell your mom that I said hi.
And Madam Chair, that was our last speaker for this evening.
Great, thank you. We are now on to the Policy Review Committee recommendations. Welcome Cammie Linetti, School Board Attorney.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, School Board members, and Dr. Robertson. I'm Cammie Linetti, the School Board Attorney. On behalf of the Policy Review Committee, we'll be bringing you 6 recommendations, 1 bylaw, and 5 policies tonight. First one up is Bylaw 132. This is adoption, amendment, repeal, or suspension of policies. The only change we're recommending is under Section B, which is format for presentation. You'll see in the 3rd line, we used to do red underlining. Pursuant to the website accessibility requirements, we cannot do underlining anymore. You'll start seeing this in some of our policies coming out. We just are going to change that to red lettering at this point. So it'll be the same thing, no underlining, because underlining is reserved now for links to different websites on there. So that's the only change we're recommending for Bylaw 132. Are there any questions on Bylaw 132?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
So in looking at this bylaw, I'm looking at Section A right there in the first paragraph. And, perhaps it's in my digital packet and not in this one, but it talks about the signature and approved for contact content and the date of the signature, but even as I'm looking at this particular packet, I don't see those signatures here.
We actually, that is also being affected by the website accessibility requirements because we can't get the signatures to meet the requirements. We have a separate page that's attached, which should have been in a hard copy given it to you. We cannot adjust those signatures for the electronic requirements of accessibility. So there is a document, a separate page for each one of these policies that is signed. We just can't, no longer can put it in the electronic document that goes with the agenda. So there is a hard copy that's available in the clerk's office. And I'm not sure if we've given it to you at this point, but we can't put it in the electronic package any longer.
Okay, I mean, I guess as long as there's a way to access it, I just, I've been noticing over the last, couple of meetings that those signature pages, are absent, so I just wanted to ask about that.
We have them, we simply cannot, under the new website
Okay.
accessibility, do it that way. So we have them for you, we just can't put them in the package that we can put online.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that clarification.
That'll move us on to policy 330, which is under business and instructional operations section, purchasing and procurement of goods and services. As you know, we mentioned throughout the year, we've had some changes working with the new procurement office. So there's a significant addition to section B having to do with the duties of the procurement officer. You'll see section 1, which has to do the procurement officer will serve as the purchase agent for the school division, we responsible for oversight. 2, the Office of Procurement Services will serve as a centralized procurement authority and shall administer and oversight the procurement process. Go through. 3, the Director of Procurement shall designate procurement staff to administer specific procurements and provide guidance, and it goes on to explain that. And very significant change. 4, for capital improvement projects and other facilities procurements, the Office of Facility Service shall retain responsibility for project planning, technical specification, scope, development, budget, coordination, project management, and contract administration, subject to the applicable procurement requirements and procurement governance of the Office of Procurement Services. And you'll notice that we took out the final line where the Director of Procurement shall serve as the purchasing agent for the school division, except for capital improvement construction projects. So that's a significant change that the Department of Finance has been working with procurement on. They've worked, you've seen us, when we'll talk about some of our CIP projects. The decision was made to bring it back in and work, and you'll see a lot of work has been done both between facilities and procurement office to bring those the procurement process back under one house together. They're working very closely together. You saw that when we were doing the design build. They explained to you how they're working together. They thought that was going to be an improvement on the process, and we think this is going to work out well. So that's going to reflect, these changes will reflect that change in responsibility. Are there any questions about policy 330?
Yeah, so for section 4, what prompted that change or that recommendation? Because I mean, as a school board member, I have a really big issue with giving up my ability to have any say over the development of the scope of a project.
I don't think this changes that ability coming to you. I think the development, the responsibility for the project, it's here. I think the significant change is that where the executive director of facilities and her department would handle the CIP construction projects, now will be overseen the procurement by the director of procurement. But some of the technical aspects will be in section 4, which is where facilities is handled. I'm not sure that.
So what changes if that section isn't in there though? Besides the school board voting on something where there's language that says that we may no longer have any authority.
I'm going to give you my opinion, but I may have to turn this over to Ms. Pate to explain to it. I believe that if you don't write it here, that's probably how it's going to work anyway, because the director of procurement would be managing the procurement aspects of it, but would not necessarily have the responsibility for the technical aspects that you would see in a construction project.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but I'm just gonna say I have concerns, and I don't know that any of my other colleagues feel the same way, and it's, I know that that was the way that it was recommended, but I read that as I have no ability to really provide any input on one of the most expensive things that we do.
I still think the policies require that they bring it, depending on which type of procurement doing, it gets brought to the school boards. I don't
I'd
think
be
it changes.
interested to hear from the chair of the policy committee.
Yes,
There we go.
we did not, I did not see it that way. I did not see that it removed, the oversight of the school board. I saw it as these two entities are working together already, and we just put it in policy because the facility services and procurement services are working hand in hand. And so we just, put it in policy because it's happening. But it still has to come for, approval of the school board. This, in my opinion, takes none of the responsibility away from us.
Mrs. Woodhouse is suggesting that we look at Section A, purchases and procurement of goods and services from non-governmental sources, whether consideration is monetary or non-monetary, made by and for the school board shall be initiated, processed, and accomplished by standard legal references to this policy. Again, it depends on the type of contract. Not every contract comes to you on CPA. Under the CIP program, depends on the size and the nature of the program for that. So I don't think this does, in my opinion, it doesn't take anything out. I don't know if Ms. Pate can add anything to that.
Chair Brown, the purpose of this was to, where we struck the fact that CIP used to be totally handled at the facilities area. The idea was to bring procurement expertise from the staff in the procurement office into the CIP process. And this section 4 was to remain the technical specifications and the expertise that facility services staff has, to make sure that they still had that role in the process, but that at different stages through the process, the procurement staff would look at different things for procurement and make sure that we were following all the procurement guidelines, the VPPA, and all those kinds of things. So it doesn't take anything away from the school board at all. It was just trying to make sure that both offices still had their respective roles within the process, but they were coming together to make sure that we were covering not only the technical specifications, but also the procurement guidelines.
Okay, yeah, and I see it's under procurement officer, so it makes sense that what you're saying is the procurement officer is going to work with the Office of Facility Services, but the Office of Facility Services ultimately still retains that
That's correct.
responsibility. Okay, all right.
And may I just add this too, quickly? I serve on the audit committee too, and when we were being interviewed by the auditor, this is one thing that I brought up, and I think several of us brought up in audit, that we did want the procurement services to have their hands on the facilities part of it. So that was brought up in that committee as well. Thank you.
Mr. Culpepper?
I think you kind of mostly covered it, but and come around to the same thing I'm going to say, which is that I think this is an instruction where the school board has authority to do things and is delegating that authority to specific people within the school board, within the school division rather. And so the school board doesn't relinquish responsibility or authority over those things, but is in fact assigning them. That's how I would read this document.
All right, thank you.
Moving on to policy, I'm sorry, are there any questions on that, was the policy 330? No other questions. I'm going to move on to policy 525, which is under the student section. This is student placement. This came up with a 5-year review, and we are simply adding a regulation under the legal references. Other than that, we are not recommending any amendments to policy 525. Are there any questions on 525? Hearing no questions on 525, I will move on to, I'm sorry.
Dr. Green?
Slap it real fast. I didn't hit it fast enough. Ms. Linetti, what is the transfer piece that's being amended? Because with this time of year, we get all these calls and things, and what is that
the lines you're seeing on the side, those are formatting changes. Again, under the website accessibility, we now have to have more space between the lines than we had before. That's why everything's taking more pages than it used to. So the change any content change would be in red, which you see under legal references. On the side is simply a formatting change.
Okay, but nothing specific to the regular.
No, ma'am.
From the Virginia.
And I will say for the next year or two, you'll probably see a lot of formatting changes as we're adjusting to the new format.
All right, thank you.
Hearing no further questions, I will move on to 526, also under students. This is course load. Again, the only recommended change is to update the legal references. You'll see an addition of a Virginia Board of Education regulation, an update on the naming of a specific regulation. Are there any questions on 526? Hearing no questions on 526, I will move on to 527. This is also under students. This is promotion, retention, and accreditation. Acceleration. If you look under section C, you will see, there is an addition of the word and right before a passing final grade, clearing out, and there is an update to the legal references. And those are the only recommended changes for policy 527. Are there any questions on policy 527? Hearing no questions on 527, I will move on to 528. This is reporting student progress. Also under the student section, if you look under section D, just a minor change. This is high school seniors. It will now read, if a high school senior is in danger of failing to meet the graduation requirements, the adult student or the parent, legal guardians or minor student shall receive reasonable notification. I'm going on with the sentence. And that is the only recommendation we're making for amendments to policy 528. Are there any questions on 528?
Mr. Cummings?
Just looking at section D with high school senior, what is the reasonable notification of possibly not graduating? Is there a timeline on that?
I don't think I can answer that afternoon.
I wouldn't say there's a specific timeline, but what we do with our high school seniors, it starts now of evaluating what their graduation requirements, and depending on what that level looks like in terms of an individual student, what they need to graduate determines kind of what the conversation looks like right now. So if I'm in danger because I don't have certain coursework, you're going to work through that process of making sure their schedule's set up to do that. That conversation would go on with the parent. Could go into term 2. We're seeing your grades in government are not sufficient. Here's some steps that need to take place. That could happen at the semester time or the term time. I will tell you those conversations accelerate throughout the year based as that number gets smaller and smaller, and the intensity of the conversation with the parent, what may be required.
Yeah, I know our staff do a great job, especially our coaches and counselors, in making sure that everyone has all their needed credits to graduate. I was just kind of curious if since it says that there's a reasonable notification, I didn't know if there was a pertaining letter, email, if you're at risk of not graduating.
Yeah, that will go out in the spring as well, that you're in danger of that. But I would also say there's notification through progress reports, report cards, and other means to the school counselors that happens as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Delaney.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Vice Chair Weems?
We had that same question, Mr. Cummings, and especially like what is reasonable, and then after this, the explanation that Dr. Delaney gave, we were comfortable and that it's an ongoing process, and we were hesitant to put a date on there because it is ongoing for the whole year. And again, you're right, our high school graduation coaches and counselors are doing a great job with that.
Well, I apologize for not watching the minutes of the
shame on
PRC
you.
meeting. Sorry for making you
Evidently
speak
a lot
twice,
of
Mr.
people
Delaney.
watch that meeting. It's very popular.
But Mr. Cummings, you have another opportunity tomorrow afternoon to watch it, so feel free to tune in.
I'll make sure to.
In fact, we would love you in person. Come on by.
Well, someone ate all the popcorn in the back, so I might see how that goes.
Great. Thank you. We are now on to program evaluation schedule for 26-27, and we welcome Dr. Heidi Janicki, Director of Research and Evaluation, Office for Planning, Innovation, and Accountability.
Okay, thank you. This evening, I will share the proposed schedule of program evaluations that will be conducted during 2026-2027. The schedule is developed based on School Board Policy 6-26. Before presenting the evaluation schedule for the upcoming year, I'll provide an overview of the evaluation reports that will be provided in upcoming months based on last year's schedule. The reports that will be provided to the school board this fall and winter based on the 2025-26 program evaluation schedule are shown on the slide. These include the Year 1 implementation evaluation of Harbor Hope Center, the comprehensive evaluation of the Scratch Cooking Initiative, and the Year 1 implementation evaluation of the pre-kindergarten program. In addition, based on a recommendation from the 2022-2023 Comprehensive Evaluation of the Gifted Resource Cluster Program, an evaluation update report will be provided to the school board. As stipulated by school board policy, the proposed 2026-27 program evaluation schedule that will be shown on the next slide was developed based on evaluation requirements for programs. Based on the policy, new programs or initiatives that operate with local resources are evaluated for a minimum of 2 years, and then during the year of full implementation if a program takes more than 2 years to implement. Programs that have been previously evaluated may remain on the schedule as a result of an evaluation plan for the program that was previously approved by the school board. In addition, the Program Evaluation Committee reviews existing programs for possible addition to the evaluation schedule as space allows. The committee includes representatives from various departments and schools, as well as community representatives. Committee members identify programs to be recommended for inclusion on the schedule based on criteria in the policy. Each year, the proposed program evaluation schedule is presented to the superintendent senior staff to obtain feedback regarding the recommendations. The proposed evaluation schedule for the upcoming 2026-27 school year will require school board approval. This slide presents the proposed program evaluation schedule for the upcoming 2026-27 school year with results shared in fall or winter 2027. The evaluation of Harbor Hope Center will continue for a second year and will focus on the accomplishment of the program's goals and program effectiveness while also continuing to monitor implementation. Based on the approved plan, the second year of the pre-kindergarten program evaluation will focus on assessing the program's effectiveness in terms of student outcomes and the degree to which the program goals and objectives were met. The next two programs proposed for the 2026-27 evaluation schedule are programs for students who may benefit from behavioral interventions. Renew Pathways is a redesigned alternative to the Tidewater Regional Alternative Education Program, or TRAPE, for high school students, and Seaglass is a redesign of the BASE program for elementary students. These programs are recommended for inclusion on the schedule because they are redesigns or modifications of existing programs that represent changes to the service delivery and implementation components. Consistent with the purpose of School Board Policy 6-26, it's proposed they undergo implementation and outcome evaluations to assess the effectiveness of the modified program models. The final three proposed additions to the schedule are the Advanced Technology Center, the Distance Learning Program, and Homebound Services. Each of these programs received high ratings from the Program Evaluation Committee for inclusion on the evaluation schedule based on criteria in the policy. It was determined that ATC and the Distance Learning Program would be scheduled for comprehensive evaluations based on previously developed goals and objectives. Homebound Services would be scheduled for an evaluation readiness report as it has not been evaluated previously by the Office of Research and Evaluation. The evaluation readiness process will allow the evaluators, in collaboration with the program managers and staff, to define specific measurable goals and objectives for the program evaluation, to determine the design of the evaluation and specific data that will be used to measure goal attainment, and to develop the evaluation plan. This concludes the presentation of the program evaluation schedule for the upcoming school year. I'm available for any questions at this time.
I'm waiting for my screen to shift over so I can see who's in line. There we go. Dr. Green?
Thank you. Hello, Dr. Jananki. We used to spend a lot of time together. So I have a quick question with regards to Seaglass program, and it's more of a methodology piece. Because it's a rebranding of BASE, and I remember, I believe we had done several research pieces, I think, with the previous BASE. Will any of that data be used as baseline for comparison purposes, or you're going to just use the rebranding?
We would start from the rebranded model based on the changes that have been made. We do have the base evaluation that we did as part of the behavioral and mental health supports for students evaluation a couple years ago. We do have that to look back to guide us with the types of goals we might be monitoring and the kinds of data that we might be collecting. But we would be starting the first year evaluation in 26-27 would be focused on implementation, so we would be focused on the implementation components that are starting this year.
All right, thank you.
Vice Chair Wayne.
Thank you. Will you refresh my memory? Is that for new programs, we evaluate them annually for the first 3 years? Is that a correct statement?
Definitely the first 2 years.
Okay.
If they are not fully implemented, for example, when we were implementing academy programs, we did a staggered approach 9, 10, 11, 12. We would do the first 2 years and then come back in the year of full implementation. So with, for example, with Harbor Hope Center, that program is planned for 2 years. The one you'll be, the evaluation report that you'll be getting this fall is the year 1 implementation evaluation. We'll be continuing the second year in 26-27 focused on outcomes. But because that program, what would be a fully implemented program, that 2 years is what we have planned for that program.
Okay, great. And then we'll just get the specific dates, just like through the regular agenda process, agenda planning with the superintendent of what comes up. when and all
Exactly.
that
The
stuff.
quarter
It'll be-
one
Okay, so it'll be
plan
fall
is
and
there.
winter though for the ones up on the screen.
Yes, for the ones on the screen, we typically start in September and we'll go through December and sometimes into January if we need to space them out.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Ms. Roger?
Thanks so much. Just a quick question. So for pre-kindergarten, we're just doing an outcome evaluation. Does that just mean we're doing like test data and just outcomes? We're not doing like a whole program?
We did, so you'll be getting the pre-kindergarten program year 1 implementation evaluation this fall from 25-26. You'll be getting that report and the results of that implementation evaluation. And then in 26-27, we continue with the second year evaluation, which is focused on outcomes. Even though we're focused on outcomes in 26-27, we do still monitor implementation components.
Okay. I'm just curious because we've had it since 2016, so.
Right, that one came about through the Program Evaluation Committee last year, and the plan that we recommended was a 2-year evaluation plan.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you. Thank you for all the work that you do. We appreciate it.
Okay.
And I don't see any other questions. So thank you.
Thank you.
We are now on to new courses, and I'm excited to learn about this one. Firefighting 1 and 2 and Law Enforcement 1 and 2. And we welcome Dr. Sarah Lockett, Director of Technical and Career Education.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairwoman Brown, Vice Chair Weems, members of the school board, and Dr. Robertson. I am here this evening to provide you with information regarding a proposal to separate our current offerings in public safety into 2 more tightly focused programs at the Virginia Beach Technical and Career Education Center. For several decades, the Virginia Beach Technical and Career Education Center has been home to a successful public safety program. Enrolled students are exposed to careers in both firefighting and law enforcement. While we value the existing program, student and industry feedback suggests the need to split these topics into 2 standalone programs, law enforcement and firefighting. This split will pave the way for deep partnerships with the Virginia Beach Police Department, the Sheriff's Office, and the Fire Department. The goal of this programmatic shift is to create a pipeline to these careers by creating more focused instruction and opportunities for internships in our community. An additional benefit of the split is our ability to strategically market these programs to students whose interests lie squarely in one career field or the other. To highlight the benefits of these partnerships, students in the law enforcement class will have the opportunity to apply for part-time work in the patrol aid program with the Virginia Beach Police Department, a position that pays over $22 per hour and gives real-world policing experience. Additionally, the Virginia Beach Sheriff's Office will hire our graduates directly out of high school with a starting salary of more than $58,000 a year. While our team intends to spend the upcoming school year planning and putting all the pieces in place for a successful split, And with new programs opening in August of 2027, it is important to ask the school board for approval of this change now because recruitment and building student awareness of these opportunities must begin this fall. In the upcoming school year, the team intends to pilot our partnership with the Virginia Beach Police Department and the Virginia Beach Sheriff's Office out of the existing second-year public safety class, recruit an instructor for firefighting, and build out individual pathways. In preparation for this work, I'd like to share some details about program structure. Like the existing public safety programs, students will apply to join the new programs during their junior year, with the program serving students in 11th and 12th grade. These courses will use the established Tech Center schedule under the double block format. Students will earn 3 credits per year and have the opportunity to earn multiple industry credentials that meet graduation requirements, support the 3E framework, and are necessary for entry into industry. Making this change will have no impact on local budgets. These new courses will be staffed with FTEs reallocated from existing programs. The current public safety instructor will transition to teaching only law enforcement. The firefighting instructor position will be filled using the allocation from the recently closed outdoor power equipment program. Equipment for each of the new classes will come partially from resources already in place for public safety, and new needs will be met as they are identified using the federal Carl D. Perkins grant. As we work to develop and refine curriculum for each of these programs, we additionally seek school board support for identifying opportunities to dual enroll portions of the new classes, such as including emergency medical technician in the firefighting track. I feel strongly that a well-defined partnership with the Virginia Beach Police Department, Sheriff's Office, and the Fire Department will give students unprecedented access to industry professionals and the training facilities that these entities use to prepare adults. We appreciate your consideration of these proposed programmatic changes, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Ms. Rogers?
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to just say I'm so excited about these programs that we have available. But I do want to, and I don't know if I'm going to address you or Dr. Robertson or whomever, I do want to say that one of the things I have heard from the community is a concern that some of these programs that would put students right into these programs that would make them immediately become a firefighter, immediately become a police officer, are sometimes utilized by students who want to make their college applications be more noticed. And so I am concerned about having those students who would not be going to college and would need this career path would then not have that opportunity because the opportunity is then taken by a student who doesn't intend on using this as a career path, but as a way to get them more noticed for a college application. What are we doing to ensure that our students who need this are getting the opportunity if in fact they're not the highest students in their grade? Obviously, if you don't have a career path to go to college, and maybe that's a struggle for you, this would be something that you could consider. But if there's no slots, then there's no slots. So what are we doing to make sure that all the students who need these programs have access?
Sure. I think we address that in the application process, just like all of our CT centers and our academy applications. It's blind as far as who the students are, but we do see things like GPA, whereas in a program like this, it doesn't carry the same weight as it might to get into the Math Science Academy. GPA is only one component. Honestly, when I think of career and technical programs, things that are really important to me are attendance. Do you show up? Your essay, how important this is to you as a student. Those things carry a lot more weight, than just GPA alone. It's not the first thing that we're looking for. We're really looking for students that have a drive to do this. And I think we also have to keep in mind the fact that when they apply, they're probably 16 years old, maybe 17, and we can expect to have students that do this and maybe even halfway through the first semester go, wow, this isn't the career that I thought it was. I think I'm going to do something else.
And that's totally reasonable.
Reasonable. So the best thing I can say to put your mind at ease on that is that GPA is not the number one predictor of whether a student makes this program or not.
And I just want to make sure that these programs that we have, especially, and not just this particular set of programs, but all of our CTE programs are going to be accessible by students who really won't have a better path forward outside of these programs, because we do offer a lot, and I just want to make sure that is accessible to a lot of our students.
Ms. Rogers, if I can also add to your question, just to highlight, it's a double block for 2 years. It's a significant commitment from a scheduling standpoint. You're going to have to sacrifice other course load areas that many of our college-bound students might be reluctant to take that step because of what is removed from their other desires. So that double block and going to this tech center helps.
So you're saying that we can't have all APs in this double block?
It'd be a challenge. You could have some, but you're not going to be able to load up at the level you may want to, so they're going to have to make a choice.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Ms. Rogers, I will point out that a significant amount of our law enforcement and our firefighters have higher education degrees. A significant amount of our firefighters have doctorate degrees.
No,
it's-
and that's not it. I just want to make sure that the students who really want this career path have the access that they need. And it's, it's not a terrible thing that students want to use it to get into college, but that really is their goal, and that we're not seeing students who are like, I really want to do this, but I can't get in. And there's only so much space, so.
Dr. Green?
Hi, Dr. Lockett. You know I'm excited. I am a cheerleader for our CTE offering, so thank you. My first question is the cohort. How many, do you know yet how many seats or how many students we will
be limited
start
to 20
for
each first year, starting
Okay.
first year program. It falls under the Virginia Code that has any time there is a course that might do something that the state deems as hazardous. And it would be 20 students. We're capped by the state at that 20 students per instructor at the high school level.
Okay, great. And then my second question, I would assume for the nature of the opportunity and what's embedded in the curriculum, apprenticeships or internships, that will be a part of it as well.
It is. This is also facilitating the partnership that I know Dr. Robertson helped to pave the way for us to have that closer relationship, so that students have that opportunity to work with these agencies prior to leaving high school.
Right. And then I know you said in your presentation they would be able to possibly transition to a job with the sheriff department. Did I hear that correctly? If they so continue, like with the police, would they go to the police academy upon completion?
Correct. The police academy, there's an age to enter the police academy.
Okay,
It's 20 and a
that's
half. So there
Yeah.
is a bridge program where they can be employed part-time. And I think you're going to see students that probably continue at our local community college during that time. So there are many different pathways. We may have students that know they want to be a police officer, and they may continue with one of these bridge programs. They may choose to go work at our 911 call center. There are many opportunities. It's just that the sheriff's office and the fire academy will take students at a younger age than the police department. So we're just looking for pathways for kids to try what fits for them.
All right, thank you.
Vice Chair Williams?
Yes, Dr. Lockett, this is fantastic. I too have been a cheerleader. Most of you have heard my story. 2 of my 5 children chose a different pathway than college, and one did the CTE, or some people prefer to call it the trades or workforce development, and he was very successful taking advantage of all the resources that we offered here. My question was also the how many seats we had, but I think that we're going to be doing what we did with our welding. I think we're going to be expanding this every single year.
Well, if you think about the split, it really does what we did with welding. It doubles the number of seats.
Exactly. So I think that was so smart to split that for those same reasons. So at a national night out, I ran into some of our firefighters who were, and Ms. Cox, who is now in charge of going into our schools and educating on fire safety. So the partnership with the police, sheriff, and fire departments is so valuable. So we really appreciate them to stepping up and doing this. It's great for our students, and it's great for the community. So thank you so much. This is fantastic.
Thank you.
Ms. Felton?
Here's my screen. Thank you, Chair Brown, and thank you, Ms. Lockett. I am really excited about this as well. I had the opportunity this year to attend both the Renaissance and the Police Academy graduation. And it was really great, and it's good to know that it's connecting. We had students that graduated from high school that went in a course to become firefighters while they were in school as well. And when they walked out of school, they were firefighters. Also like to say that I'm glad that it's coming to full connection. Mr. Cullen and I attended the Renaissance graduation, and it was a young man that went through that program to be a firefighter. And as he graduated, he was walking out, getting a job as well. This is going to put more emphasis on more students knowing what we do and getting it out there. I am really excited that it's connecting and coming together to make more opportunities for all of our students. Thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you, and thank you all for your support.
Thank you. I have some questions still too. So I just want to make sure that I understood correctly. So our students that participate would be able to do patrol aid part-time work after they graduate.
Well, they're still in high school, actually.
Well, so paid $21 an hour while they're still in high
22.
school, so
Mhm,
work-based.
While they're still in high school, and we currently had some students out of public safety that were patrol aides last year.
Okay.
That's ongoing, but we're hoping, that we continue to expand that. That's, as many positions as the city has, this will have more opportunities. And of course, it's going to be competitive for those positions. But it's a great opportunity for students to get that real world experience. And so many of our internships are unpaid, so that's, exciting that one is paid.
Right. That's really great. And then you mentioned that our students would be able to get $58,000 a year at graduation for the sheriff's department, which is really fantastic. And that since there's an age minimum for the police academy, that they would be able to do an internship partnership. Can you tell me a little bit more what that's going to look like? Those internships?
Sure. They run a bridge program for those folks. Most of the students are taking classes at the community college post-graduation that are in that program, and they're working 28 hours a week with the police department. And the idea really is to maintain that connection with an interested student in that time between when they graduated at 18 and when they're old enough to enter the police academy. So there are two different tracks, and the work of the sheriff's department is different than the work of the police department. So, we'll have some students that decide, hey, I'm 18, I would like to go full-time at the sheriff's department, and then we'll have some other students that, want to continue their work with the Virginia Beach Police Department until they can enter the academy.
Thank you. And, the school board has done a lot to invest in vocational and workforce options, and you've been really integral in all of that work. And I did actually have the opportunity over the summer to have a conversation with Lieutenant Loki. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's an integral partner.
Right. And, I talked with him about this as well. And I do know that there's also a huge shortfall in our city in these positions. And so I'm happy that not only are we offering our students the opportunity to explore if this is the right career for them and possibly take part and graduate at $58,000 a year, but that they also we're helping our city with that. So I think that's really great, and I appreciate all of your work on this. So thank you.
Thank you.
You have another question? Oh, Ms. Dwyer.
It's real quick. Is there any other school division that has implemented these programs?
There are. They're popular around. Our neighbor Chesapeake has a firefighting program. I know for me, for benchmarking, two of the ones that I would like to take faculty to visit this year, there's one in Louisa County who's doing some really innovative things, and then Fairfax County. So, we really want to go look. That's another benefit of asking you all for this approval now, and then continuing to build out this program before next fall. We get time to take a deep dive and visit some of those programs and take the best parts that we find around the state.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are now on to the ad hoc committee for honoring Betty F. Williams through naming or renaming opportunities in the tri-campus attendance zones. We discussed this previously at our school board retreat. Dr. Green sent over a proposal. I worked with Ms. Linetti to get that proposal into a resolution form so that we can establish the committee, the purpose of the committee. And then, of course, there was some adjustments to the timeline and stuff like that. And so those have been made. And so you have that recommendation here. Is the one that was in the packet the same? I know there was
It
an
should
issue
say the
Dr.
second
Green had
bullet.
brought up.
On the second bullet, it should say, the purpose of the ad hoc committee is to study and bring back written recommendations to the school board no later than November 15th, we missed the 2026, or at a later date agreed to by the school board regarding naming or renaming buildings, campuses, facilities, and or attendance zone.
No, it's supposed, oh, the one in my packet here says November 23rd.
Oh, that's right, yeah, right, so that's a.
And that's the date that we need too, because there's some
Correction to that
timeline
one.
constraints there.
Yeah, it was that, okay, I'm using,
That's
yes,
the one
I had
that's up
the
here,
resolution,
too.
yes, yeah.
Okay. All right. Dr. Green, do you have anything to say about the resolution in the committee?
I am very excited with us finally getting to this point. And certainly Ms. Linetti and Chairwoman Brown, I appreciate all of us working together so that we can get this going. So thank you.
And I will also note, this is on consent. I don't really think there's any objections to it, but if there is, we would have to move it to action if you wanted to have further discussion at that time. So,
Chair Brown, I just have a question. Since it is on consent, did somebody want to read the resolution right now? Because I do have it ready to go on the slides.
shouldn't we read it once we have a motion and second on consent?
That's generally how you do it. You can read it now if.
Okay. We'll follow that process.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, no, we'll make the motion for the consent agenda. We are now on to the non-binding term sheet for conveyance of school board property located on Jericho Road. Welcome, Cammie Linetti, School Board Attorney.
And coming out of a prior ad hoc committee was our Jericho Road ad hoc committee chaired by Ms. Weems last year. After the ad hoc committee brought back its recommendations to go ahead and explore this, what we had to do is then work with the city's office, and this became between the city attorney's office and my office, working on it to come up with what they call a term sheet. It's taken us a while to get that, because as we've gone through the process, we learned a few other things about the property that we needed to deal with on there. So as I explained to the school board before, I think we have reached terms on the term sheet that are now acceptable to both the city and the schools. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's not done. Once this term sheet will set us forward, going forward from here, and then we've got some more process to do that. Now let me see, do we have the PowerPoint going? Am I controlling that? Okay, that's so, okay. So again, a term sheet is not a legally binding agreement. It's our understanding. You'll see most of the terms that we think will be what we'll call eventually the memorandum of agreement. The proposed terms are subject to approval and funding and appropriation. So once the school board agrees to these terms, we will send it to the city council to look at. Again, city attorney's office and my office have worked with that. We've also had outside counsel for us, for the school board, working on that. Once it's agreed to, we will then go into a memorandum of agreement, and then the other thing you'll have to know is we will not be exchanging money for this. Typically with a property, you have to give a certain amount of money. This is not one where we will exchange money, but there are some expenses to the school board. Again, what was very significant to the school board was what would be the future of this property, the use of the property. That's a significant amount of time we spent working on at the ad hoc committee. We have put this into the section of the term sheet. It will be the use of the property. It is going to be limited in what we call perpetuity for the following uses. One, a public park, open space, and there's limited infrastructure to support the property. If you look at the back, you'll see wetlands in the back. We're fronting a street or fronting a school, there might be reasons we need to get into utilities. That will not significantly change the use of the property, but we did put that in there. Then the city, subject to development by the city with the intent to put a neighborhood park or community park. Right now, because they don't have the property in their inventory, they have not designed a program forward or funding method, but that is their intent. Again, prior to development of the park, it's going to maintain as a public park site, but it will be undeveloped, and the city will maintain it, cut the grass once we turn it over to them. And they will maintain that property once we convey the property. Until it gets conveyed over to the city, the school board will be responsible for that property. The use restriction, it cannot be used for any other purpose other than what the last slide was talking about, the public park, the open space purposes, unless the school board by written agreement comes back and changes that. So we left that option for a future school board, but otherwise it will have to stick with this use restriction, which will be attached to the deed and run with the deed to the property. That was important to the school board. The one part you wanted, which we had to do a lot of work with the city on, was reversion rights. This is an unusual process on there, but this process will be, if it is used for any other purpose without the approval of the school board, you have 10 years. Hopefully 10 years I'm not here, but somebody needs to remember 10 years from when you see them use something open or inconsistent, when some building goes up, somebody needs to say, hey, and you have a cure period on that. So it's a really long period of time to notice that something's going on next door. So make sure you're keeping an eye on that. If you notice something that is not what you believe is consistent with the use that you've agreed to, you have to give written notice to the city, and they have a 120-day cure period. So there's a few things that have to be given to them. After the 130-day cure period, 120-day cure period, if they do not cure it, they fail to cure it, you have 60 days to close on the reversion. So then it'll be your responsibility, if you're still here or future school board, to say, nope, it comes back to us. The term sheet and the memorandum of agreement will actually have the chair be responsible for changing the deed. You will take it back into the court, and we'll get that property changed back to the school board. I think that's consistent with what you wanted. We talked originally about giving to them and hoping that they cooperate. This will actually maintain control of this use of this property to you. It does leave you the option to mention, if for some reason the school board decides with the city that there's no reason to have that use restriction, that school board has 10 years from now or whenever it comes up, has the opportunity to change that. In the meantime, the deed on the property will require that it stick with the use restriction. There are a few other conditions that you'll have to deal with, and this is what Ms. Ingram is working on. Demolition, we will be responsible as a school board for paying for the demolition. You'll see some terms on there. We're going to take down the building. We're going to take down the cement foundations around it. We will leave the parking lot there and some of the sidewalks. We will have to do some work with underground storage tanks. One of the things Ms. Ingram identified after we got the approval from the school board to move forward. So we're going to go ahead and take care of those underground storage tanks. We will need to cap some of the water and sewer lines, and then it will turn over. And then the school board will be responsible for preparing and recording the subdivision. We've explained to you before, there's actually 3 properties and lines crossed over the years. We'll need to get that fixed. That'll take a certain amount of time to do. This agreement also agrees that both the city council and the school board agree that you will be allowed to use reversion funding to pay for the demolition and the subdivision work. There is significant expense to that. Again, the school board is going to take on the responsibility for those costs and handle that. I believe I spoke to Ms. Ingram earlier today. She indicated that they are going to start the demolition work fairly soon. They've got out the contracts for it, and they'll be able to start doing some of that. Again, the city has, we have 90 days from when we enter the memorandum of agreement. They get to do an assessment of the property for suitability of use. I believe they've already been working with Ms. Ingram, looking at the property, checking and things, kind of how we found the underground storage tanks. If for some reason they determine that the property is not suitable for use after this point, they have the ability to terminate the MOA. And then a couple contingencies on there. Standard process with surplus property. We haven't done this since, let's say, Alaskan Road probably. On there, you have to do a resolution that will declare the property surplus. You're going to dedicate it to the city, and then we'll execute an MOA. So there's a process we'll go through for that. City councils will agree that the city manager can accept the property and execute the MOA. We'll finish the MOA. Will look somewhat similar to the term of agreement here. They'll finish their study in the property. We'll go on. We'll be doing the demolition in the meantime. We'll record the subdivisions. The division may take a little bit of work, but the city knows that we're working on subdividing that property. If for some reason the MOA is not executed within 5 years, which we do not anticipate happening, but if it doesn't end in 5 years, the agreement's over and the property remains with the school board. Back up, sorry. So we believe at this time that that meets the requirements that you were looking for when we came to you last year. We think it protects the use of the property and gives you a remedy for it. It's a very long period of time, so hopefully there'll be institutional memory if something changes, but this gives you the options to restrict the property as you promised the public. It will also give you the opportunity to change it if things change in the future. Are there any questions about the term?
We have a couple of comments, maybe questions. Dr. Green?
Well, mine is not a question, but a comment. Like I'm sure, where Ms. Weems, I can't see your face. Are you smiling? Yes, I am. Just a little backdrop to, first of all, I am so happy to see this day. I joined the committee, which was under Mrs. Weems' leadership 2 years ago, and we both worked very closely with our representatives to city council. And I can claim it because it's right in my district, property-wise, but Ms. Weems helped get this going. And also our illustrious Civic League leader who's here tonight, who made sure we all stayed on task, Lorraine Samko. So thank you, Lorraine, as well. So I guess at some point, I guess we need to make a date, Ms. Weems, to have people roll us to the park by the time it gets ready. As well. And we will be watching it, and I know Ms. Samko will be watching it as well to make sure things move forward. So I am very happy about this.
And Ms. Ingram has done a considerable amount of work on it.
Yes, she has.
She's spent a lot of time working with the city, so she's done a lot of work to make sure this is going to take care of.
And Mr. Oaks, she has. She's done a phenomenal job in keeping us on track and legal and all of that. So thank you.
Ms. Rogers?
I just wanted to thank Ms. Ingram again for all of her hard work. I know that this has been quite the daunting task. Mrs. Linetti, you are stating you will not be here in 10 years. Will you be leaving your contact information should we need it?
Yeah, you're going to hire me back at a very exorbitant price, yes, as a contractor. So, yeah.
Nice.
You'll have to get me out of the nursing home first, so that's it. That's
Vice Chair Weems?
Yes, in fact, I've got stars all over my paper. This is an exciting day, and we started talking about this about 10 or 12 years ago. In fact, Ms. Samko and I met with Lewis Jones to initiate the conversation, and then we started a committee, and thank you, Dr. Green, for your involvement, and also, I must not forget our city council counterparts, Ms. Amelia Ross Hammond and Josh Schulman. But I tell you, Ms. Samko, you're my hero, and you should be Aragona's hero. The amount of work that this lady, she has tenacity, and she never gave up, and sometimes I know she felt like it, and so that inspired me, so thank you so much. It's times like this, sorry, that it makes me say that's why I do this, because some nights I question why I do this, but times like this is like, that is why I do this. So we have worked so hard. I did talk to Josh Schulman after our agenda came out, and of course he has looked over the term sheet and doesn't see any problems with it. I don't see any problems with it. It's going to be a great thing, and Aragona is one of our largest and oldest neighborhoods, and they were underserved with no open space or play space, and I'm so thankful that we were able to do this. It makes my heart happy. It was the right thing to do, and these students, generations are going to benefit from this. And just again, thank you so much for your help. I know it was a lot of the nitty gritty, but especially Ms. Samko, thank you so much. And I'm going to be at that park playing. I'll push you, and then we'll play up there, okay? So I'm super excited and very grateful and thankful.
Now, remind you, we're not done. There's a lot more steps, but this is
Exactly.
This is huge,
This
and we've
is
got
huge.
most of it. But we will be back to you numerous times the next year or so to finish this.
Okay, I have a question first and then some statements. So We already approved funding for this in last year's reversion funding request, correct?
I believe yes. And
Okay, I just wanted to confirm because I had some questions and I want to make sure that I'm giving good information, but I'm pretty sure that we already approved that.
So we approved a dollar amount, I think of $1 million,
Demolition.
and we don't know what that was our estimate.
I
So
thought it was 1.2 for some reason, but if we could confirm on that number.
It is.
1.2. I can't
Ms.
believe I
Zimmer's
remember
working
that.
on that contract, but I also know we will need to do the re-subdivision work too, which may require some more expenses.
Okay.
Yeah, depends on when demolition comes out at, so.
We'll continue to track the costs. We're also working with our city partners on the re-subdivision, trying to save money and time where we can. But yes, we'll continue to track the costs and then let you know this budget season if we need any additional reversion money.
Okay, thank you for that information. I just want to make sure that I follow up appropriately. And I also echo the sentiments. Thank you, Lorraine, for your work on this project and everybody in Aragona Civic League and the area, and Dr. Green for serving on the Jericho Road Ad Hoc Committee, and Carolyn Weems. This, to me, and I know there's more pieces left in the process, but this is a successful school board, city council, community collaboration. And, you know, I've had a lot of conversations with members of city council as well as school board about this. And I'm really, really excited that we are where we are at with this. So I'm so happy about this. And with that, I also will note that this is also on the consent agenda. So if anybody is opposed to it, you're going to have to let me know at the time that we get to the consent agenda. And Ms. Linetti, do we have to read the term sheet also?
No, I don't believe you do. I think you just
Okay,
have to
just the
approve it.
resolution.
No, and we've talked before about this agreement, so this is just memorize it, but I don't believe you have to read the term sheet on it.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm. All right, well, thank you. Now onto the consent agenda. We have religious exemptions, Newcastle Elementary School chiller replacement. We have the ad hoc committee for honoring Betty F. Williams through naming or renaming opportunities in the tri-campus attendance zone, and the non-binding term sheet for the conveyance of school board property located on Jericho Road. The motion was made by Dr. Green, seconded by Mr. Bowensteel. Vice Chair Weems, would you please read the resolution for the ad hoc committee?
Yes, I will be glad to. Creating the ad hoc committee for honoring Betty F. Williams through naming or renaming opportunities on the tri-campus attendance zone. Whereas the school board's plans for the tri-campus attendance zone, which include Betty F. Williams School, Newtown Elementary School, and Diamond Springs Elementary School, will change the use and nature of these buildings, facilities, and grounds. And whereas Betty F. Williams' legacy continues to inspire and impact the students, staff, and stakeholders of Virginia Beach City Public Schools and District 4. Therefore, the school board has determined that Betty F. Williams should continue to be honored by the school board and Virginia Beach City Public Schools through the naming or renaming in the tri-campuses attendance zone, buildings, facilities, campus or campuses, and or the grounds, and through other means. And whereas the school board creates an ad hoc committee for honoring Betty F. Williams through naming or renaming opportunities in the tri-campus attendance zone for the purpose of bringing recommendations to the school board for how to honor Betty F. Williams, inspire students, and reflect community values. Now therefore be it resolved that the school board creates the ad hoc committee for honoring Betty F. Williams through naming or renaming opportunities in the tri-campus attendance zone, and appoints school board members, District 4, Dr. Alveda Green, as the ad hoc committee chair, and school board member at large, Sharon Felton, to serve on the ad hoc committee. The ad hoc committee chair is authorized to manage the work of the committee and take other actions on behalf of the ad hoc committee. In the ad hoc committee's chair's absence, Ms. Felton may substitute as the ad hoc committee chair. To
2, the purpose of the ad hoc committee is to study and bring back written recommendations to the school board no later than November 23rd, 2026, or at a later date agreed by the school board regarding naming or renaming buildings, campuses, facilities, and/or the attendance zone and the tri-campus attendance zone, or otherwise honoring Betty F. Williams. 3, the ad hoc committee's chair is authorized to appoint additional ad hoc committee members not to exceed a total of 9 members. The ad hoc committee chair is authorized to appoint, remove, and replace ad hoc committee members. The superintendent or designee may assign additional staff as non-voting members to provide support and consultation. 4, the ad hoc committee's work will be advisory in nature, and the ad hoc committee is not authorized to make promises or assurances to the public regarding the outcome of the recommendations of the ad hoc committee to the school board. Adopted by the school board of the city of Virginia Beach, Virginia, this 11th day of August, 2026.
Thank you. Okay, I call for the votes to approve the consent agenda as presented. Oh, hold on, before we vote. Are there any objections to voting on the consent agenda as presented? Okay, now I call for the vote.
Mr. Culpepper, how do you vote on the consent agenda?
I vote aye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 10 ayes. The motion did pass for the approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you. All right, we are now on to personnel report, administrative appointments. I call for a motion to approve the personnel report and administrative appointments. Moved by Ms. Dwyer, seconded by Mr. Cummings. Any discussion? Seeing none, I call for the votes to approve the personnel report and administrative appointments.
Mr. Culpepper, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 10 ayes. The motion did pass for the approval of the personnel report and administrative appointments.
All right, Dr. Robertson, do you have any administrative appointments this evening?
Yes. The last big batch coming through. We're pleased tonight you've accepted our recommendation for Jamie Arnett, currently a teacher at Prince Anne Middle School, to be the next assistant principal at Christopher Farms Elementary School. Next up, we have Amy Gortz, currently an instructional coach in Norfolk Public Schools. We're pleased you've accepted our recommendation for her to be the next assistant principal at Red Mill Elementary School. Next up, we have Darcy Victory, currently a teacher at Lansdowne Elementary School, and we're pleased you've accepted our recommendation for her to be the next assistant principal at Thalia Elementary School. Next, we have Shaheen Sarani, currently an assistant principal at Green Run High School. We're pleased that you've accepted our recommendation for them to be the next principal at Brandon Middle School. Next up, we have Melissa Shimwell, currently an admin assistant at Green Run High School, to be the next assistant principal at Green Run High School. Next up, we have Kenneth Vaughn, currently the principal at Brandon Middle School. We're pleased you've accepted our recommendation for Kenny to be the new principal at Bayside High School. Next up, we have Carolyn Myers, currently a teacher at Kempsville High School. We're pleased you've accepted our recommendation for her to be a coordinator in TC Administration and Marketing Program in the Department of Teaching and Learning. And then finally, we were pleased you've accepted our recommendation for Valerie Williams, a retired employee relations specialist, to come back home and be an employee relations specialist in the Department of Human Resources. That concludes the appointments. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, we are now on to the amended 2026-27 budget resolutions. There are two. The first one is the amended school operating budget. I call for a motion to approve the amended school operating budget for fiscal year 26-27. And after, there's a motion and a second. Motions made by Mr. Cummings, seconded by Dr. Green. Vice Chair Weems, would you please read that resolution?
Whereas the school board of the city of Virginia Beach approved the FY 26-27 school board proposed operating budget on March 24th, 2026, and whereas the budget amendments were adopted by the 2026 General Assembly Special Session 1 to the 26 through 28 introduced biennium budget affecting pre-K through 12th public education, and whereas Governor Spanberger signed the amended Virginia state budget on June 29th, 2026, providing additional state funds to the school board of the city of Virginia Beach in the amount of $13,942,359. And whereas the FY 26-27 school board proposed operating budget was adopted by City Council on May 12th, 2026, and whereas an additional appropriation for the FY 26-27 school board adopted operating budget is necessary in the amount of $13,942,359 from the City of Virginia Beach for additional state money received for special ed add-on, compensation supplement, infrastructure, and operations per pupil allocation, at-risk standards of quality, and state sales tax. And whereas the school board of the City of Virginia Beach anticipates an increase in athletic fund revenues as a result of the approved ticket price increases for athletic events, and the appropriation will support an increase in postseason coaching supplements, event security, and contracted services. And whereas appropriations of funds must be approved by the City Council prior to the expenditure of funds by the School Board of the City of Virginia Beach. And now therefore be it resolved that the School Board of the City of Virginia Beach requests an additional appropriation of $13,942,359 from the City Council of Virginia Beach for the school board operating budget. And be it further resolved that these funds shall be used to provide an additional special education support, a 0.25% step increase to years 1 through 14 on the Unified Experience-Based Step Pay Scale effective February 1st, 2027, additional pay-go funding, an increase to employee professional development reimbursements, and to replace expired all-in Virginia grant funding. And be it further resolved, the School Board of the City of Virginia Beach requests an additional appropriation of $183,800 from the increases in the athletic fund revenues resulting from approved ticket prices increases for athletic events, with all additional funds designated to support postseason coaching supplements, event security, and contracted services. And be it further resolved that the School Board of the City of Virginia Beach approves the recommended use of these funds upon appropriation by City Council. And be it finally resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread across the official minutes of this school board, and the clerk of the school board is directed to deliver a copy of this resolution to the mayor, each member of City Council, the city manager, and the city clerk, adopted by the School Board of the City of Virginia Beach this 11th day of August, 2026.
Any discussion? Mr. Callen?
I noticed that in the summary of all of the allocations that are involved, the $13,942,359 does not specify where it's going to things like the sped or support, the 0.25 of a step increase, and the pay-go funding. There are no allocations dollar amount wise, and I didn't know if that was intentional, if that was an oversight, if that was we're going to take this money and we're going to allocate it to those areas, but we're not really certain how much each one is going to be allocated in receiving it in an allocation.
So I'm gonna ask that staff pull that up. We did get that presentation and it was during the meeting, that you weren't here,
Okay.
so. But if you could pull up what those appropriations are for Mr. Callen.
Sure. So the recommendations that support that were presented at the retreat were, there was an additional savings that we had for $535,855, where we were moving security assistance from the operating budget to an incentive grant that we received after the original approval of the CION budget. There was also a reduction, or $50,966 that was a local match for another grant for the school safety personnel programming grant, and that was also received in May, which was after the approval of the CION. There's $3 million that was for increase in pay-go funding. There's $3 million to replace all-in grant funding. There's $214,000 for employee professional development reimbursement, or what we call tuition reimbursement. And then there's $4.8 million for the unified pay scale adjustment to move from the 1 to 14 years to go from a 1% between steps to a 1.25% between steps.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And Dr. Robertson, I know I had followed up with you over the phone about that, what's a 0.5% question, and we actually talked about this at my Hunt Policy State Fellows program, you know, that the state funds SOQ for teachers at 29-1, which we would not want to do here in Virginia Beach. So that's where the figure doesn't really exactly match up. But what is that 0.5% increase
Yeah,
for all
based-
instructional?
Based upon the numbers we used to develop the CION for this year, 1% is like 6.6, so 0.5% be 3.3. Is that give or take 3.3, 3.5 for 0.5%?
Okay, thank you. All right, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I call for the votes to approve the amended school operating budget for fiscal year 26-27.
And Mr. Culpepper, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 10 ayes. The motion to pass for the approval of the amended school operating budget for fiscal year 26-27.
All right, the next one we have up is the amended capital improvement program fiscal year 26-27 through fiscal year 31-32 budget resolution. Is there a motion for approval? Moved by Ms. Dwyer, seconded by Mr. Cummings. Vice Chair Weems, would you please read that motion?
Whereas the mission of Virginia Beach City Public Schools in partnership with the entire community is to empower every student to become a lifelong learner who is a responsible, productive, and engaged citizen within the global community. And whereas the school board of the City of Virginia Beach has adopted a comprehensive strategic plan and school improvement priorities to guide budgetary decisions. And whereas the primary funding sources for the Capital Improvement Program, CIP, are charter bonds, public facility revenue bonds, and reversion funding. And whereas the city school revenue sharing policy provides 48.5% of certain general fund revenues to meet obligations of the school board of the City of Virginia Beach. And whereas the city school revenue sharing policy allocates funds first to debt service, while the balance is used for the operating budget and the CIP. And whereas an additional $3 million from the originally approved CIP budget will be funded through schools pay-as-you-go, PAYGO, with a corresponding reduction in authorized but unissued public facility revenue bonds. And whereas an additional $1,716,390 in investment tax credit funding has been received and will be allocated to CIP. And whereas the school board has comprehensively reviewed all sources of funding, projected various scenarios, and prioritized the needs of the operating and CIP budgets. And whereas total projects cost, new construction amounts are partly based on 2023 educational specifications, post 30% design created with school board input. And whereas educational specifications and the associated designs will be reviewed under a separate process with the school board, which may result in a change in square footage and cost. And whereas new construction projects will not go out for bid without school board approval separate from this CIP. And now therefore be it resolved that the school board of the City of Virginia Beach adopts a CIP program of $949,045,599 as shown on the attached school board funding summary and project summary dated August 11th, 2026. And be it finally resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread across the official minutes of this school board, and the clerk of the school board is directed to deliver a copy of this resolution to the mayor, each member of the city council, the city manager, and the city clerk. Adopted by the school board of the City of Virginia Beach this 11th day of August, 2026.
Okay, any discussion?
Madam Chair, Mr. Culpepper does have his hand raised.
Okay, Mr. Culpepper.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think in the years to come, we need to significantly increase the amount of money we're taking from the budget to put in PAYGO, but I'm very happy to see $3 million in this CIP being added to PAYGO.
Could you repeat that?
Mr. Culpepper, we were having a little bit of difficulty hearing you. Can you repeat that?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I was just saying that I think we need to significantly increase the amount of money we're putting into PAYGO in the coming years, but I'm happy to see $3 million here being added to PAYGO.
I echo those sentiments as
Yes.
well. I'm happy to see that we're really taking PAYGO seriously. I know on the city side, it had been shown to me that they put a significant amount into PAYGO, so I'm happy we're moving in that direction as well. All right, the motion was made by Ms. Dwyer, seconded by Mr. Cummings. I call for the vote to approve the amended capital improvement program fiscal year 26-27 through 31-32
And Mr. Culpepper, how do you
budget
vote?
resolution.
I vote aye.
Thank you. So, Madam Chair, the motion to pass for the approval of the amended capital improvement program for FY 26-27 through FY 2030-32 budget resolution.
Thank you. We are now on to committee, organization, or board reports. Do any board members have anything to report? Dr. Green, followed by Ms. Rogers.
I have three things, and you know, that's a lot for me. I usually don't have that many things. First of all, the legislative committee, we met a few weeks ago to establish meeting dates for the upcoming school year, or rather for the upcoming calendar fiscal year. And our next meeting is September 5th at 9:30 here. And I will be sending an email to my school board colleagues referencing your priorities for our next upcoming legislature session. And right now, we are also working on establishing a date in December for our annual legislative breakfast that we always have with all our legislators. So, yes. I'm sorry, the 4th. I'm sorry, I will not be here on the 5th. Okay, the 4th. September the 4th is the next meeting. And I'll be sending an email to follow up with regards to what input you would like to have with our legislative agenda. Next item I have, Dr. Robertson attended, as well as other staff who are not here this evening. We had our annual Jumpstart event for our homeless students, and this year we served almost 600 homeless families, providing them with the necessities to ensure that they will have a great school start to a jump start to the school year. Aid Now is one of our big partners, along with Food Lion and Dr. Robertson. Who am I forgetting? Food Lion. How can I forget all those big checks, right? And Priority Automotive. And at our annual Jumpstart event, students receive haircuts, eye exams, dental checkups. Thanks to the sponsorships from Food Lion, many families went home with groceries, fresh fruits. Priority Automotive helped fund the clothing and many other items that our students received. And these are homeless students. So it was a success again under the leadership of Mr. Robert Jameson and Damian Wilson, who is our coordinator of school social work services. Damian is the lead on that. And so Dr. Mahani, I'm biased because that was my old department. You have inherited a great group of professionals who care very deeply about our students, many of whom I got to hire, by the way. And we just have a phenomenal department over there with student support services, our school social work services, as well as our school psychologists. You get in trouble if you start calling people's names, so everyone in student support services, they are wonderful because they remove barriers to learning. And the last thing, I just want to publicly thank the Wave Church of Virginia Beach. This weekend they deployed roughly about 500 volunteers to most of our schools in District 4, painting, mulching inside, doing things, setting up rooms, had notebook assemblies. They were at Bayside Middle, Bayside High School, Newtown, and Betty F. Williams. And it was just heartwarming to see how committed they were to ensuring that our students get a great start to the school year. So thank you, Wave Church. Thank you to our partners for Jumpstart, Priority Automotive, as well as Food Lion, and most of all to Ann Christie with Aid Now.
Ms. Rogers?
I'll be quick. I just want to thank everyone again who have done all the work so far with DTOL and with starting our new teachers out on a good foot. I want to remind the public that we will be having our Care Fair this Saturday. I will be there, as many people in this building will also be there. And we are so excited to support our students coming in, getting them backpacks, getting them haircuts, getting them vaccines, getting them all the things they need so that they can start the school year right. And I also want to make sure I tell our staff how much I appreciate them. I know that it's going to be hectic at the beginning of the school year, as it always is, but I appreciate all their hard work to get everything ready for our students. And I just really am excited for the new school year.
All right, Vice Chair Weems?
Yes, Mr. Bowenstiel, Ms. Felton, and I will be meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock for the Policy Review Committee, and I'm so glad that Mr. Cummings is going to be watching.
And I just wanted to remind the community that for this back-to-school care fair, that transportation is provided. So if that's a need of yours, please either get in touch with the school board, look it up on the internet. We're happy to provide that, or call a school board clerk or student services. And that is from noon to 4 at the convention center otherwise. Also, I wanted to take a moment to congratulate our summer graduates. There are 61 of them. We will be attending summer graduation here on Thursday, and so we're looking forward to recognizing the hard work of our summer graduates as well. Yes. Oh, okay. If you need to have information on the transportation or the back-to-school care fair, the correct office is the Office of Community and Family Engagement. And with that, it is 7:46 p.m.
Madam Chair, that information is on our website, vbschools.com.
Yes.
There's a whole page under Family and Community Engagement, and you can scan the flyer also.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, and with that, it is 7:46 p.m. and we are adjourned.